Hi there, I'm Kristen Cockey, a clinical social worker, and in the next 10 minutes, I'm going to attempt to distill how with the two steps of awareness and self-care, we can keep ourselves in balance emotionally. Emotional regulation is a lot like dogs. So I'm assuming that even if you don't own a dog, you've at least seen one in your lifetime. Imagine with me the classic image of the dog barking like crazy at the male person. Why? Because an uncertain stimulus, meaning the male person, evoked dysregulation, suspicion, fear, annoyance, and caused the dog to react with barking to alert the male person the dog is unhappy about their presence. Our emotions don't look much different than that neighborhood dog barking its head off. Left untended, we too bark annoyingly at novel stimuli, or even those around us who evoke discomfort in us. But here's the thing. Our emotions, just like dogs, seek acknowledgement. And often, that alone is enough to allow them to submit. Have you ever walked past a barking dog and get a little bit closer, put out your hand and reply, "Hey, pup, I see you"? Or if you own a dog, do they greet you with great enthusiasm upon your arrival home, only to settle once you've said hello and petted their head? Often, acknowledgement prompts calm. Therefore, awareness and acknowledgement are essential to this process. Now, sometimes our emotions need more, and that's when taking a pause and using our superpower of awareness is essential. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response, life lies our growth and our freedom, said Viktor Frankl. Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor and author, wrote the book Man's Search for Meaning. He wrote that everything can be taken from man but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances. So before we can get to that act of making a choice of how we need to respond, let's first take a pause here, a magical pause. For just a few moments, close your eyes. Sit in a comfortable way where your body's not a distraction. And allow your attention to shift into an observation mode. Notice how you're feeling right at this moment. Notice the intensity of that feeling. Maybe there's not much of a feeling there that you notice at all. Maybe you're feeling kind of numb. Maybe you're feeling at peace or even joyful. Or maybe as you sit, you notice you're feeling a pretty high amount of anxiety or anger even. Now, without judging, notice any thoughts that you might be feeling in this moment. Maybe you're having the thought of, I can't even, I have no energy, or thought of, well, I think I'm okay right now, or I can't handle it, not one more minute, I don't think I can handle it. So without conversing with these thoughts, just notice what thoughts are there. Also notice any physical sensations that are present. You might notice that your head hurts or you feel really tired. You might notice you feel pretty alert and clear-minded. Maybe you notice your heart is racing. Maybe your mind feels really foggy. Finally, become aware of any behaviors or urges that are present. You might have the urge to just take a nap. Maybe you're in the mindset to get some work done. You feel pretty logic-minded right now. You're ready to problem solve. Or maybe you have the urge to pace or yell or get out of some uncomfortable situation. Witness and collect all of that data. Your feelings, your thoughts, physical sensations, and any behaviors or urges. And now, come back to the present moment. So we use that superpower of awareness for data collection. And I encourage you to do this exercise of a brief dropping in, a mindful minute, 2 to 3 times a day to collect information. The more often that we can make that a habit, the more often and we can realize when we are in need of something, when we are out of balance, and we need to make a choice to keep ourselves in balance. So based on the data that you just collected, now we need to discern if you need some calming or revving up. This chart here is a map of the nervous system. It'll help us to acknowledge how we might be out of balance. So right here in the middle is the optimal zone of arousal. This is where we are calm, we're able to be in the present moment, we feel connected to others, we're able to process new information, make decisions, we feel pretty grounded. If we find we're in this optimal zone of arousal, great. No more choices, no more actions are necessary. We're right where we want to be. However, sometimes our central nervous system might be in this dorsal vagal or hypoarousal, meaning we are really low in energy, we feel numb, spacey, disconnected, shut down. It's kind of like if there's a circuit that's blown and all the lights go out, energy's gone, and we just don't have it in us. If that was the case, we might then consider we need to do something to increase our arousal a bit. We might need some gentle movement. We might need some music that's loud or fast-paced. We might be mindful of our senses, especially smell or taste. That has a way of bringing us more focus, something bitter, spicy, sour even. Or engaging with someone else, connecting with someone who can support us in this moment. Might be all things that we choose to bring us more into this optimal zone of arousal. Or maybe we find ourselves in this hyperarousal, sympathetic nervous system, fight or flight, we're tense, we're stuck in worried thoughts, feeling anxious, overwhelmed. It might also look like irritability and aggression, being very hypervigilant. If that's the case, we need to engage in some options to help us calm, to reduce our arousal. So deep breathing, maybe shaking or moving to try to get rid of some of the adrenaline that's around us. Weighted blanket. Maybe it's just a matter of slowing down from walking fast, from thinking too fast, from doing too much. Maybe connect to your body. If you're feeling hyper aroused, maybe cross your arms and your ankles and tuck your hands in your armpit, lower your head and just breathe. Maybe we want to orient ourselves to time and place. So maybe in that moment you just you look around where you are right now. Look around 360, noticing colors and shapes, and let your gaze rest on something pleasant or comforting. Maybe also we can pendulate back and forth. So if there's a place of tension or pain in our body, maybe we pendulate to a place where there is ease or there's lack of pain. And shifting attention between that ease and tension and ease to give us that perspective of there's something more going on. Those might be things that help to move us back into this optimal zone of arousal. So by taking that moment to collect data of our emotional awareness, it will lead us to effective self-care. And there's many ways to tend to the self, but likely it'll involve an active choice of some action to find the just right thing to help you get into balance. In general, we're wise to tend to these 5 categories for our self-care choices: physical agility, emotional well-being, cognitive health, social connection, and creative expression. So physical agility involves how we eat, how we sleep, and how we move, seeking quality in each of these categories. So when considering your food choices, does the food that you're choosing, does it increase or decrease your energy and your overall health? Good to consider, am I sleeping adequately? Am I getting to bed early enough and getting quality of sleep? And then taking time to try to move in some way every day does wonders at helping to balance our central nervous system. Emotional well-being. So remember back at the beginning saying that sometimes acknowledgement, just like dogs, acknowledging them is all that they need to get a little more back into balance. However, if that's not enough, consider the underlying needs that these emotions have. Generally, fear needs a plan of action, sadness needs comfort, anger needs assertion, guilt needs repair, and happiness needs to be savored with gratitude. And on that note, you might consider taking on a practice of gratitude daily. It's, again, an energy that really helps to balance the central nervous system. Cognitive health. So here we want to watch for cognitive distortions. If that's not a word you've heard before, there's a hyperlink on the screen here to describe more, but it's the type of thoughts that are actually thought errors. So things like all or nothing thinking. We put things into categories as all good or all bad. Overgeneralization, having a negative filter, disqualifying the positive, catastrophizing. The mind having thoughts of going to that worst case scenario. Maybe we are mind reading. We're just sure that person doesn't like us. Or we're fortune telling. We're just sure that it's not going to work out. Magnification or minimization, emotional reasoning. I didn't do well on that test, so I'm an idiot. And shoulding ourselves. So that I should do this, I should do that. All different ways that our thoughts bring us out of balance, looking for those cognitive distortions. And instead of debating with them more, just recognizing that I don't have to believe everything I think. It's very important to keep a healthy perspective here. So being here in the present with our awareness instead of too far in the future or too far in the past. Continue to learn something new every day. Keep your brain healthy. Also, consider the sources of news and the amount of exposure you're getting to news. Right now, there's a lot of agitation in all of everything that we see and that surrounds us, and that too brings our central nervous system out of balance. Social connections, so important for our being in balance. So as much as safety allows, planning those little moments for in person or taking time to plan virtual, having that Zoom coffee talk or happy hour, but connecting, whether it's text or a phone call. I know sometimes in that time of shelter in place, we couldn't see people face to face, but yet we were really, really needing to have some sort of connection as safety allowed, because isolation brings us way out of whack. It brings us down into that hypoarousal where we end up feeling frozen and shut down, flat. And don't forget that social connection can also be with a pet. That's a way we can engage as well that keeps part of us healthy in that way. Creative expression, play, draw, write, make or listen to music, dance, be in the garden, be in nature, laugh, sing. Find a way to have creative expression as well. So those are the 5 ways, 5 different categories, but there's sometimes that it might overlap. And when we find overlap between, say, physical agility, I'm taking a walk with my dog, well, there is social connection as well. And we're outside in nature, well, there's being creative. And of course, being with others is also good for our emotional well-being. If we're talking about things and our cognitive health, like that's a really high value activity. So look for those choices. Anytime it touches on one or more of those self-care categories, it's a really high value activity. Also, practice meditation. So I could do a whole presentation on the multitudes of reasons meditation benefits our mental and emotional well-being and central nervous system. I've embedded a site here that I love, mindful.org. It has articles, it has guided meditations, there's audio and the scripts with it. There's a ton of apps with guided meditations. There's even body scans and meditations on Spotify, if you have Spotify. If you're new to meditation, seek lessons. I encourage everyone, if there's one habit to incorporate into your daily routine, this is it. And a lot of times I hear, well, I'm no good at it, or it's too hard, or it's not working. And that's where I say it is like learning an instrument or a new language. It's going to take practice to become competent, but it is absolutely attainable. So hopefully now it's becoming clear that taking moments of awareness to acknowledge how we are in balance or not is essential to choose effective self-care. And hopefully you have some ideas of actions you can take to bring yourself back into balance. I want to underscore I want to really emphasize that these 2 steps are essential to our well-being and to those around us. The extent to which we are in balance will have a direct effect on others. So to understand that, let's go back to the neighborhood dog example. Imagine I'm fearful and react by shouting around that dog, shouting commands at the dog and making excited actions. Sit, sit, go away, sit, go, calm, sit, run. And I'm flailing my arms. That dog, who is already dysregulated because I was in its territory, will likely now become even more fearful and agitated because of my lack of awareness and my lack of choice to respond in a balanced manner. That is to say, when we first get ourselves in balance, we increase the chance others can be in balance as well. Co-regulation is a precursor to self-regulation. So as adults, if we are dysregulated, children learn that as well. So tend to your balance first. I hope that this has given you some tools to feel in balance. Thank you so much for listening. Reach out if you have any questions. Thanks.